They laughed at her, first called her just a wrench turner in coveralls. To them, she was invisible. Another mechanic meant to stay silent. But when the F-16 lurched off the runway and the young pilot froze, command shoved her into the rear seat. In that instant, the ghost she had been for 9 years could no longer hide. She had buried her name to survive, erased from records after terrorists hunted down her squadron. Now, with alarms screaming and lives on the line, her secret past as a test pilot in missions that never existed was seconds from breaking into daylight. Before we dive into this story, where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments. Welcome to Grateful Stories, where tales of compassion and kindness are told. Let's uncover what really happened. 1620. Flight line. White heat over concrete. A taxi horn bleats. An F-16 nose wheel chatters. Rubber biting baked runway. Claire tightens the pull tabs on her safety boots. She doesn't look up. She listens far off the thin, steady FLCS test tone. Subtitle Holloman AFB, New Mexico 9 years after she disappeared. Inside avionics. The air smells like flux and hot plastic. Claire solders a trace, swaps a DFCC module, signs the work card without flourish. No one lingers at her bench. Questions die after 2 words. Answers never wander. Hargrove, A3 needs a parallel check on a 2-seat D, M-SIGTUM. Drew McCall points with his chin, already moving. She nods. No questions. Cut to the main gate. A man in a plain suit walks through the reader. Black soft case. OSI badge. Eyes that count cameras and exits. A cold voice rides the picture. Almost mechanical. 2 teammates taken in 6 weeks. Identity leak. OSI order erase. Rename. Relocate. New Mexico is far enough. Claire slides a laminated checklist into her chest pocket. Edge scorched. Corners soft from old sweat. She doesn't open it. Flight line. Heat ripples over paint. Lit. Evan Cole pulls an F-16D forward. Canopy down, visor mirrored. Windsocks snap from the southwest 18 knots and rising. Surface temp sits high and mean. The ramp shimmers like a mirage. Crew chief logs engine vibration marginal, still within limits. Cole taps the glass once, twice. The jet inches to the hold line. 1 sentence, flat and simple. Heat plus crosswind warps angle of attack data. FLCS hates lies. Clearance arrives. The jet rolls. Brakes sigh. Throttle climbs. The intake becomes a howl. Rotation. Nose lifts, then jitters like a nervous metronome. A yellow FLCS caution blinks hard against green. Cole corrects too much. The left wing drops, snaps back, drops again. The outboard tip kisses air above a runway edge light by inches. Viper 2-1. Say intentions. Tower cuts in, controlled and sharp. Cole breathes into an open mic. The reply doesn't come. Claire stands at the margin of taxiway A3. Sun at her back, earplugs in, every hair on her arms listening. Colonel Mariah Denton moves fast for someone in polished boots. She clocks the jet's wobble, then clocks Claire stationary, focused. You, back seat, keep that kid alive while I get OSI on the net. No debate, no committee. A finger, a ladder, a decision made. Nobody asks why a civilian tech is climbing a Viper. Claire strips 1 glove, takes the rungs 2 at a time, slides into the rear cockpit. Canopy closes. The world becomes headset and glass. Her hands find rails they haven't touched in years without searching. Outside, maintainers scatter from the blast cone. Inside, the tone shifts engine clean. Flight controls not. Tower calls again. Voice tighter. Still professional. 2-1, say intentions or state an emergency. Claire tightens the harness to the last notch. She checks nothing extraneous, just oxygen, comms, and the 1 page that matters in her mind, on the ramp. McCall freezes at the sight of her helmeted silhouette. He mouths a word he never says out loud. Why? At the gate, the OSI man clears a second door without slowing. He looks neither left nor right. He knows the target by schedule. not by face. Cole's breathing hits the intercom, a rush, a stall, a rush. Sweat pools at his chin strap, gloves squeak on the stick. Crosswind spirals dust across the midfield. Heat haze breaks the jet into soft edges and hard alarms. Claire's lips barely move. Her eyes line the gauges in a slow, exact sweep learned under a different call sign. Colonel Denton stares at the runway with a stillness that looks like prayer. She doesn't pray. She counts variables and outcomes in lawyers. Another horn on a distant taxiway. An engine cough from a generator cart. The base keeps moving because bases always do. Claire presses her shoulder blades into the seat. She feels the jet through a thin layer of foam, the way a medic feels pulse through gauze. Tower again. 2-1. You are drifting left of center line. Cole swallows. His throat clicks loud in two cockpits. The checklist corner digs into Claire's pocket when she exhale leans. 3 words live on its back, written in a younger hand. Fly the data. Denton's phone vibrates. Unknown number. D.C. prefix. She doesn't answer. Not yet. Not now. The sun lowers a hair, and the shadows sharpen like knives. Heat keeps coming off the concrete in slow, cruel waves. Claire watches the jet fight itself. She doesn't blink. She measures. She decides where the next second must go. Somewhere beyond the perimeter fence, Alamogordo keeps its hour. Wind rattles a metal sign. A train leans on its horn. The OSI badge passes a third checkpoint. Mark Leland never breaks stride. The soft case never swings. Inside the rear cockpit, Claire's hand rests near the comm switch. She hasn't spoken yet. She will, and only once she must. Cole's helmet turns a fraction, looking for help that isn't there. He doesn't know the help is already behind him, already counting down. Denton exhales, last time before she intervenes. She keys the line that jumps the queue. Rear cockpit, confirm you're strapped and hot. Affirm. Claire's voice is level, like a ruler laid flat. No history in it, no hint, only present tense and a job. A pause hangs thin as the air over the desert. Denton nods to no one. Decision sealed. You have 13 minutes, she says. Not loud, not soft, maybe less. Before the heat burns away your margin. The cockpit rattled with warning tones. Claire steadied her breath, voice sharp in Cole's headset. Right hand light. Watch the AOA tape. Forget the horizon. A shrill beep cut through. FLCS degrade glowed amber, controls twitching under his grip. She pressed her boot into the yaw pedal, trimming out the gust. Switch to SEC mode now, she ordered. Cole hesitated, fingers brushing the wrong panel. She snapped. Green switch. Do it. A rough clunk answered. The jet shivered, then steadied, like a wild animal leashed. Claire's voice, flat SEC raw controls, less filtering. Your right hand must be clean. Cole's breathing rasped in the intercom. Sweat beaded inside his visor, fogging the lower edge. She didn't wait for his panic to build. Manual trim, 2 clicks down, 12 degrees AOA. Hold it there. Not 14, not 11. His thumb tapped the switch. The nose obeyed sluggishly. The altimeter sank too fast. Desert floor rising. Gear indicators glowed red, unsafe. Claire read them in half a glance. Leave the gear extended. We're not cycling it again. Short pattern only. Outside, the desert shimmered like water. Heat waves bent the horizon. Tower and hangars rippling. Wind slapped the canopy like loose canvas. Back in avionics, the room went still. McCall leaned close to the console speaker. A young mechanic whispered, "Who's in the back seat? Avionics tech." Another muttered. A laugh half formed, then died when the radio squealed. Nobody wanted to say the words again. At the OSI office trailer, Mark Leland's phone buzzed. He answered without turning from the window. One eyebrow lifted, but his face stayed stone. Cole gasped. Rhythm broken. Focus. Claire said. Calm but iron. Breathe with me. She counted. Steady. 1, 2, 3. Release. Hold. He matched her cadence. Shaky at first. Warning tones softened. The jets wobble easing. Needles steadied. For the first time, control felt possible. Claire checked fuel. Margin thin. Straight in to runway 34 left. She called. ATC came back fast. Wind 190 at 17. Crosswind. Power on landing. Claire muttered. She keyed the mic. Landing with gear down. Engines live. 180 knots approach. No drama. No plea, just instructions. In the tower, controllers exchanged quick glances. Nobody questioned a voice that flat, that certain. Clearance granted. Runway lights brightened. Cole's knuckles glared white on the stick. Claire overlaid her calm like a shield. Keep 180. Don't chase altitude. The speed will hold you stable. VO in her own head faster than standard. Better to smash the jet into the runway than float and drift. Stability mattered more than elegance. Final approach. The desert air punched sideways, hot and angry. The jet skidded in its own slipstream. Cole's voice cracked. We're off center, ignore it. She snapped. Fly the tape. Fly the number. Ignore the paint. The runway filled the glass. Throttle trembled under his hand. Impact hard, direct. Tires shrieked. Black streaks scarring the concrete. The jet lurched, bounced once, then slammed again. Left wingtip kissed a runway light post. Sparks spitting. The frame groaned but held. No fire, no roll. Claire pulled the aero brake lever herself. Exact angle, exact time. The drag bit air like a claw, slowing the jet clean. They stayed arrowed on center line, rolling straight. In the hangar, radios crackled the report. Mechanics exhaled as one. The sound ragged and raw. Someone muttered, impossible. On the taxiway, emergency trucks trailed the slowing fighter. Claire's chest rose once, sharp and controlled. She let Cole feel the stop. Let him believe his hands were still on the controls. The jet finally halted, nose settling. Engines wound down to a deep animal growl. Canopy cracked, desert air rushing in. Colonel Denton's voice pressed through the intercom. Steady as steel. No applause, she said. Just one question. Silence stretched a breath too long. Where did you learn that sequence? Her tone made it more accusation than curiosity. Claire looked past the scorched checklist in her pocket. She spoke quiet enough the cockpit almost swallowed it. I used to fly something with trickier nerves than this. In the command trailer, Leland checked his watch. He closed the phone with a soft click. To no one in particular, he said, enough. Time to shut mouths. The line went dead. Outside, the desert wind kept pulling, hot and restless. Inside the cockpit, Cole sat still, not yet aware of the story that had just begun. The runway was quiet now, but the noise lived on screens. A clipped ATC recording leaked into a local chat group. By morning, military blogs carried the headline, "Who was in the back seat of the D model at the avionics board?" McCall wiped his hand across the duty roster. He tried to smear away Claire's name with dry chalk. It didn't matter, screenshots were already out. Phones buzzed across the base. Mechanics pretended to work, ears bent toward rumor. Pilots walked faster, not slower, the way people do when they smell scandal. Inside a secure room, the blinds were closed. OSI agent Mark Leland slid a thin folder across the table. The paper inside looked lighter than the air in the room. Colonel Denton opened it, jaw tight, a single photograph Claire, but labeled with a different name. Lines of text beneath Edwards AFB, F-35 developmental test, non-attributable deployment, 2 names under KIA, notes in bold protective identity issued after intelligence breach. The colonel's voice hardened. This never leaves this room. Leland's tone never rose or fell. No press statements, no acknowledgement, no record. She remains invisible. The order hung like a locked door. Across base housing, Letty. Evan Cole knocked on the side door of avionics, his face pale, his eyes heavier than his age. He didn't look at the cameras overhead. "You saved me up there," he said quietly. "Who taught you to hit SEC that way? It's not in the syllabus." Claire didn't answer with words. She pressed something into his palm, a worn sticker, the kind text slap on panels. 3 words in faded black: "Fly the data." McCall saw the exchange from a corner. For a flicker, he glimpsed the scorched checklist edge in Claire's pocket. Then it vanished again, tucked deep where no one could ask. 2 days later, Kirtland AFB received a visitor. Major General Roland Greer, lean, silver hair, eyes that missed nothing. He had requested no escort. He didn't need one. A conference room was cleared, doors sealed, screens blinked awake, showing internal feeds. Greer looked straight into one camera as though it were a witness. "Claire Hargrove," he said without hesitation. "You stood in places the record insists never existed. I confirm it here." His voice left no space for denial. Colonel Denton bristled. "Cutting in." "Sir, OSI protocol, this is restricted." Greer turned, gaze hard enough to cut glass. "I'll take the responsibility." The words landed like iron. Silence followed, long enough to carry weight. Later, reporters gathered in a briefing hall. No banners, no medals, just a podium with a seal. Leland stood to one side, Denton to the other. The statement was short, almost surgical. A civilian contractor provided emergency technical support during a flight anomaly. "The matter is resolved. No further details." Hands shot up, voices pressed forward. "Name, unit, background." The reply was a single syllable: "No." Yet outside, the internet had already moved faster. A cropped photo from a hobby blog zoomed in on the canopy. Her face caught in a reflection, faint but clear enough. By midnight, forums pulsed with certainty. The invisible woman had a name again. Claire's silence had been broken without her consent. In a back corridor, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, Claire faced Leland. The OSI agent carried no folder this time. Only choice. His voice was calm, deliberate. "2 paths," he said. "One, reinstate you under your real name. Transfer to another base. Full security detail." He paused, watching her reaction. "Or 2, you stay in shadow. Keep your cover intact. We authorize you to run closed-door instruction. Small groups only. No official record." He waited. Claire's eyes didn't flicker. She asked only one question. "Do I choose who sits in those seats?" Leland gave a single nod. "Yes." The deal was sealed in 3 syllables. The hallway emptied, but the echo of her choice remained. She would not reclaim medals or titles. She would shape futures in quiet rooms instead. Outside, desert wind rattled against corrugated siding. The base kept its rhythm: launches, landings, engines whining. But beneath it, a new current was moving. Rumor had become recognition. Recognition had become risk. And Claire, once erased, now stood at the edge of visibility again. The decision she carried would not fade. It would define how much of her life returned to the world, and how much remained buried with the past. The old simulator room smelled of dust and cold metal. A faded sign on the door still read, "Electronics Caleb Lab." The overhead light flickered once before settling into a steady hum. 6 young pilots sat at metal desks. Among them was Cole, his eyes fixed straight ahead, not on her. No cameras, no journalists, no ceremony. Claire set the scorched checklist flat on the table. Its edges curled. Its lamination bubbled from heat years old. Her voice stayed low. "Everyone knows the SOP, but when the FLCS bites, what do you do?" The room went still. No one raised a hand. Every eye followed the mark of ash on that card. Cole leaned forward first, cautious. He repeated her words like they were coordinates. "Fly the data, nothing else." Claire nodded once. It was the only praise she gave. The lesson began without a chalkboard. Night in the desert carried no mercy. The windsock flapped side to side, its fabric slapping in the dark. Sand scratched against chain-link fences, constant and dry. McCall worked late in avionics. He pinned the new roster on the corkboard, covering her name completely, but at the bottom, in pencil, he wrote Shadow Syllabus F-16. Colonel Denton stood alone at the bleachers near runway 22. The field lamps threw long shadows across concrete. Her words left no echo. Keeping her alive, that's enough. Behind a storage bay, Claire pressed a phone to her ear. She waited as the ring carried into nowhere. No one answered, as always. She ended the call without sighing. The habit mattered more than the result. It was a ritual of goodbye. Inside her quarters, she pulled the checklist from her pocket. She slid it into the top drawer of a steel desk. Her fingers stayed on it a beat too long. She closed the drawer but left it unlocked. The edge of the card poked out into the dim light. On its back, half hidden. Fly the data. Morning came sharp and pale. A line of F-16s idled on the ramp, exhaust curling in the cool air. Mist rose off the ground like thin smoke. Viper 2-1, cleared for takeoff. The tower's call cut across static, calm and absolute. Engines spooled louder, the flight rolling forward. In the simulator, the 6 trainees stared at green screens. Claire stood behind them, arms folded. The air smelled faintly of warm circuitry. She gave them the setup without preamble. Crosswind 19 knots, surface temp 38, SEC mode active. Her pause was deliberate. Don't look at the horizon. Don't trust the noise. Look at the numbers. Her voice had no rise, no fall, only certainty. Beep. The simulator threw its warning, harsh and sudden. The students flinched at the sound. Claire didn't move. Her eyes stayed on the data bar, steady and unblinking. Her breathing matched the pulse of the machine. In seconds, the room steadied too. Hands found rhythm. Controls held course. The beep softened, then stopped. The jet on the ramp lifted into a clear sky. The simulator screen rolled into level flight. 2 worlds aligned, one outside, one hidden. The lesson closed with no applause. Claire walked to the door, checklist still in the drawer. Her footsteps echoed once, then disappeared into the hum. The desert held its silence. Engines thundered, then faded into distance. Her heartbeat slowed, even unhurried. The story ended without fanfare, not with medals or flags, but with a steady cadence, the rhythm of someone who chose shadow and taught light instead.